Short box is taught in every school of Pilates for a reason. Everything about the mobility of the spine is in this series, and everything that takes you to more advanced exercises, not only on the reformer, but all throughout the method, is in this series. So we're gonna pick it apart, exercise by exercise, and really then relate it to what comes next and why this is such a fundamental series to get to that next step. So, feet are under the strap. I've got all the springs on to secure this bad boy. Now, the first thing I want to address about short box is hip flexors. If hip flexors are overactive in the series, and therefore you're allowing yourself to kick up into the straps in order to be your security for not falling off the box, you're training your hip flexors to overwork and replace work of your lower abdomen and your lower core, right? Which means when you get to more advanced exercises, as I'll show you, you're gonna end up fighting them, right? So in short box, the simple fact that if you want to mobilize your lumbar in any way or shape or form, you're going to have to utilize your hips. So we start with the round, all right? So in the round back, where you put your arms should help you come into your upper abs, but also that union of your obliques and lats as they come around into to give you that thoracic curve. So you're not going for this lowercase c where now you see I've collapsed. And if I go back from here, I'm going to end up having to utilize these hip flexors and utilize the strap to hold me on the box. That's not what that's there for, all right? Then when I come back forward, I'm going to use more, not as much, all right? So as much as you want to cue, pull back and contract. The first joint to move is really the pelvis on the femur. Roll your booty. So I'm going to think curl tail into the back of my legs, reach through my heels, and pull back from the strap. Coming forward. I want to pick up and come forward. Now note, I do not have traction underneath of me because I hate the feeling of giving myself a wedgie. So your choice if you want to have the black pad underneath of you, which means I'm going to slide a little bit. It's okay. It's okay. So when I go back, I don't pull. And you'll see how that makes me also drop my upper body. I want to think, get into the work of my hip extensors so my hips can extend. Find that low ab work, that low core. Pull me back up and around. I don't have to go very far, especially since I'm talking. Pilates and talking is not a good idea. But one more. Take it back. And then bring it back up over and around. Versus pull and drop back and then try to engage my glutes to save me. But now you can see a complete difference in the length of my waist and what's going on underneath of me. So now we're going to take that into a version of the roll up that I like to do on the reformer. One day when I was trying to teach short box to someone who had never been cued to use their under wonder to start rolling back, I had to think of a way to get them to feel that. So I came up with this version of the roll up that pretty much nails it. All right, so I'm on one red spring. You could go lighter, but I wouldn't go heavier, right? And you could also choose various positions of your feet for this. You could do balls of the feet, arches, or heels. Heels is very, 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 very difficult. Let me show you, right? I personally love to do the arches for this one, the bird on the perch, okay? Because it's more surface area of your foot on the bar, right? And you want to maintain that feeling of reach and push. Now on one red spring, in this kind of stomach massagey position, already this is an event. Already this is an event to fight my hip flexors, which are really flexed and really working, but I need to be able to push into the bar to pull me forward. I'm going to go ahead and straighten out, which should pull me down into the hug of my under wonder, which gave me a little bit of hip extension. Anytime you go from flexion or extension, you need the backyard, okay? So I'm going to reach the arms out. If I start from this over cue of center and over cue of pulling my belly button back with really no reference to how much I need to come out of this hip flexion. The reformer moves because the spring is winning and pulling in. And I'm going to hit the shoulder blocks. But then when I want to come back up, I'm going to run into the problem that I had when I pushed my feet up into the strap of the short box series, because I never really came out of my hip flexion. I'm still really overworking in here. So now when I try to pull up, and this is not going to be pretty, right? When I pull up and try to get into my core and try to actually bend and round my spine, I'm so pulled and dumped into my back, I can't pick it up. So I'm going to actually think, well, can I pick my foot up a little bit? Can I pick my feet up a little bit and pull from here to come up? And if you notice, the reformer didn't really move, right? The reformer didn't really move because I didn't move my hips. You also saw how short-waisted I stayed. Now, I'd show you that again, but it's exhausting and I don't want to. So I want to do it more with the lifted curve, the capital case C, where now when I press out, I'm not thinking push the springs or push my knees. I'm thinking curl the tail to the bar and feel where the spring's actually holding me and the bar together. The first thing I want to see move is the carriage, because my hips pull under and I'm standing more into the pull of that spring that's connecting me into the back of my legs, and I'm going to tap the shoulder blocks and you're going to see the shaking because I'm shaking, right? But notice how much longer and longer. Now as I come up, I've got to hold that work and peel the spine from my abdominals. And you're going to see me try to hold the tail under. But at some point, the hamstrings do lengthen because I am coming back into hip flexion. The reformer will pull back underneath of me, right? Here I go again. Now, I don't have traction under my hips, so I am going to slide a little bit. And I'm definitely not going all the way down because, well, heck, the shoulder blocks are in the way. But guess what? They let me know if I touch down at the same time or not. Ha! That's the best part, right? One more. Curl the tail into the feet. Feel the feet push out into the bar and pull back. Same way you had to do on the short box. And then come on in. Play with arches. Play with balls of the feet. Again, heels is really, really, really hard. Play with it. Also play with feet apart, right? You don't always have to roll up with your legs together. Now, is it a different exercise than the roll up? To each his own. To each his own. But you should be able to articulate your hips whether your legs are together or apart.